Welcome, everyone, to another episode of I Am Christina DiArcangelo. And today, I'm so ecstatic today to have my guest and honored Monique Sarkessian. Did I say your last name properly?
It's really close.
Okay. Can you tell them how to say it properly, please?
The family pronunciation is Sarkessian, but whatever, I'm honored that you got all those S's in there, so thank you.
Oh, thank you. I worry sometimes with difficult names that I'm going to mispronounce things, because that's something I struggle with at times. I've never really probably told anybody about that, but I mispronounce words, and it's not on purpose. It's just a little tick I have.
I think if you try, as long as, I mess up names all the time. I forget names after like 3 weeks, unless I have continued contact with people. I really just try to show people that they're loved. And if you can show people that they're loved, if they can feel loved, it covers a lot of things. So, that's the best, that's the most important part. And I try not to offend people, but beyond that, I'm sorry if I've ever mispronounced or forgotten your name. It was nothing personal.
Yes, that's what I mean. I never mean to do anything. So I always, when I bring guests on, if it's a hard name, I ask them. So that way people also, if they're Googling you, they're obviously going to have your information when the show airs, but that way they know if they listen phonetically, they could maybe figure it out. So I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
So with that, everyone, I brought Monique on today because we've been friends. My gosh, I don't even know how long we've been friends now. I think it's about 5 years that we met. But before we get into that journey, why don't you, Monique, introduce yourselves to all of our viewers and listeners about who you are, what you do, and that way we can then start, kicking into how we know each other. And really, I want everybody to understand what it is you do because it's amazing.
Thank you. All right. So I'm Monique Sarkessian. I've been painting for a really long time. I'm a creative entrepreneur. I have my own business where I make and sell artwork, to beautiful people like you all. And I mostly paint, but I also sculpt and make ceramics and, run my business myself. So, I do everything involved with running a business. And I also give classes, and I like to say that my artwork is artwork that transforms. It doesn't just transform your walls, it transforms your life. It transforms the atmosphere in your home, and it speaks into people's identities. Mm-hmm. So that's a little bit complicated, but that's basically what I do.
Not at all. Actually, I want to talk about, I wanted to initially, I'm sorry, I'm just like all over the place because this is like, and everybody that's going to be listening and watching is going to be like, wait a minute, usually I'm laser focused when I bring people on the shows, but there's just so much going on with you, and how, you've impacted my life and my son, Christian. Monique met Christian 5 years ago, when he was a little guy, 3 years old. He's 8 now. And she's seen him grow, and she has children. And so we originally met because I was lucky. And I say this because it was, there was a building that was repurposed. It was an old, I forget what it was. Was it a manufacturing?
Women's lingerie factory.
Okay, that's it. You got it. Yeah, I knew it was manufacturing.
The old style lingerie, early 1900s old style lingerie.
So cool. So they repurposed this building and they turned it into lofts meant for artists. So everybody out there knows I am not an artist. So they're probably wondering, wait a minute, how did this happen? So first off, I know someone who was one of the artists. Her name is Rachel. She was like one of the first couple originals that's moved in there. And I was meeting her at Kibberton Whole Foods to talk about other stuff. And she mentioned that there was an office space available, this beautiful loft. And would I be interested? Because at that point I was in downtown Phoenixville, right on Bridge. There's a lot of traffic. There's parking nightmares. There's other things going on at the time then. And I didn't want to be in Phoenixville anymore. I was looking for a new space. And so she recommended that I check this place out. And I did. And they allowed me, this corporate CEO lady, to move in to this space. And it was one of the most amazing experiences of my career because I got to be with all of you guys. And Monique was my next door neighbor.
Yeah.
And that is how we met. And I used to go in to her beautiful studio and look at all of her beautiful work. And at that time in my life, I couldn't afford to buy something. And Monique didn't know this. And many, many people that I was interacting with at the time had no idea, but I couldn't afford it. And I just, kept in the back of my mind that one day I could hope to be able to buy one of Monique's paintings. And so to fast forward to where we are today in 2021, we're also friends on Facebook. So times people will say, hey, I would like, to a referral for this artist, or whatever, or this or that. And they say what they need. And believe it or not, I review these things. People are probably like, how do you have the time? Because if one of my friends is connected to a need, as an entrepreneur myself, I want to help people, other entrepreneurs. So that's how this reconnection occurred with us, was that I had posted, well, you should contact Monique if you need whatever, I forget what kind of thing this lady needed. I didn't really know the lady. It was on a group post. I don't even know who this lady is, but I was like, hey, Monique, because she does amazing work. So we started talking and I said, I want to do a painting that reflects my inner child, because I was going through, I had been going through a lot of things over the years with all, domestic violence and just all kinds of things, a lot of abuse. And I needed to help myself inside. And I was doing all these things, talk therapy, dieting, exercise, all these things. So what's really important with what Monique said about kind of doing like a transitional, when you get a transformation, when you get her artwork at home, it is absolutely 100% true. The artwork that Monique did for me, and I really want to let you talk about this, but we use it for everything. The big event that we're having that's upcoming in July, we used it for the invitation. It's on my website. It's everywhere. I've been in magazine articles where I've been interviewed about being an entrepreneur and what I do in my, cannabis or whatever. I always put this painting in everything for multiple reasons. One, because Monique is excellent and people should procure her services, because I'm telling you, the feeling that you get when you get these art pieces home is like no other. And secondly, I want people to understand who I am as a person. And that's very personal for me to share my painting that's in my bedroom that I see every night before I go to bed and every morning when I rise. So I just wanted to tee it off a little bit for everybody so that I'd love for you to share, like, just the journey of like your career and everything that you would love to talk about today with everybody.
Sure. Well, a lot of people, unless they know an artist or have one around them in their life, which a lot of people do, but if you don't, it can sound either weird or glamorous, depending on your mindset. And it is kind of both of those things. And like any business, we also have to do business tasks, and we have to nurture ourselves. We have to take care of this, and what we're doing, what we're making, it from my perspective. Other people will have a different approach, but my perspective is it's really personal. It really comes from the depths of me, of my soul, and what. And I'm a spiritual person, so it's like what God gives me for that person and his heart for them and how much he loves them. And so there's so much, processing that I go through to even make art. There's things I do for myself, for my own work that I sell. And then there are things that I do for other people, personalized paintings like I did for Christina several times. So anyway, but there were a lot of touch points between us when she first came to me and started to talk to me about her vision and what she had for this piece. And it absolutely lined up in so many ways with what I was seeing, what I was feeling, and a vision for this painting in my head that God gave me. And I was sharing those bits with her. We're going back and forth with text or Facebook Messenger or something. And we're like up till probably 11 p.m., like just sharing ideas and getting all excited about it, because the more of that process where I can bring her world into me and reprocess it out. And this painting was so important to her because it brought her a vision of her future, that even though the image is of a young girl, it's kind of like that hope and that promise without trauma involved. And it gives her a clear vision of her identity as she was created and as she's moving forward into. So I know it might sound really wacky to some people out there who aren't used to that, but that's kind of what I do. And I also paint landscapes. Like the other day I was invited to paint at a lavender farm, and it was actually really gorgeous and ethereal. And you're just like so grateful that you're even there, even if the bugs are biting you or whatever, like you're just, so there's the world that comes out on the canvas or the panel or whatever that looks perfect, because I can control that a bit. But and then there's the downside, like life. There are bugs, there's parking issues, there's there was a big rainstorm, and
it's muddy.
But that's really like life. And it's really kind of funny because as unusual my life is compared to other people who work in different settings, it gives me a strange preparation for being flexible. like for me, lockdowns were kind of like, oh, I can be in my studio and process all this and whatever. It's just, I just have an unusual temperament that after years of fighting it, and this is probably how my business came about, was I knew I wanted to be a painter when I was 4. And I don't remember too much else from back then. And where that idea came from, I don't know. Because but my father used to make things, not artwork, but he built our house and he would build stuff in a workshop. And I just can't get enough of making stuff. So I've always made stuff, and then eventually went off to art school because I really wanted to be a painter. And I pursue that because that's really, after trying to find, there are no job listings in the newspaper for artists, still aren't. And but God made me with this unique sensibility, and so I pursue that, and I turn it over to Him, and He takes care of the rest. And so my life is all this partnership between how He made me, not fighting against that, and what He wanted to do with this. And when I let Him take control, He does some really amazing stuff. Like I'm on your podcast today. God.
Oh, thank you so
Anybody
much.
who's sitting there saying, "Oh, I wish I could do this," you know what? Your life has so much purpose and plan, and so much love built into it from your Creator. And I just want you to just follow that, just follow that, because it's all there for you, whatever it looks like. And it's never the same for everybody. And even though we kind of want what other people have sometimes, embracing what's yours and going for that is really what you're created for. And that's where all the things start to line up. I haven't figured it all out yet. So,
I'm getting emotional about this because this is stuff that you and I have talked as friends, and also Monique's a mentor to me in many ways she doesn't even realize. And it's the connection she has with herself. Just what she was just talking about. That's true. That's how Monique lives her life. And my life, I've always tried to go against the grid. I've always gone against the grid, but I conformed to the way people wanted me to be. Yesterday, I had this amazing moment on a Zoom, and it was late, but I had to do it. And this moment taught me this exact statement, which was for myself, that I had been conforming nothing happened on the Zoom. It was just something like what's coming ahead for me in my career. Like there's some stuff that we're working on. And it was like, whew, it was like, it just came from the top down. You know what I'm trying to say? And it was a weird experience for me last night, because it was like, I heard a voice, stop conforming. You know who you are. Stay true to yourself. You are Christina DiArcangelo. I swear to God, this has nothing to do with this podcast, because that's what it's called. I swear to you. So what I'm saying, when Monique was talking and you saw me all of a sudden well up, even though we didn't talk about this before we got on today, it hit me right in the gut, because it's true. And we're lucky to have you, because you create so much joy in so many people's lives. I mean, all the people that follow you and talk about you, about your beautiful work, and all the people that, I've been blessed to be able to share your artwork with, like Macario, the 5-year-old that you did the lion blanket for. We talked about this in the previous podcast that I shot with Dr. Annabelle Manalo Morgan. And we talked about your artwork and how much joy it brings Macario, and how he truly is the lion that you painted. This is your gift to the world, Monique. You are amazing. And there's so many things that you do that you just don't even know that you're doing. And it's through a higher power, because that you're listening and you're doing what you feel is right based on what you're hearing.
Yeah, I try to take directions instead of figuring it out myself. And, and that's the thing, is that it can get discouraging if you're just looking around you and saying, it can be an isolating life, because I can do what I do alone.
Mm-hmm.
And, and I really like getting together with people and hearing their reflections, because I can't see my work the way other people see it.
Right.
But what happens is then when I make things, and sometimes they don't sell right away, sometimes they do, sometimes they just disappear and sell right away. And then sometimes they take a while, and I'd be like, why? I'm not feeling appreciated by this, which doesn't have to do with anyone else, but I rethink myself, question myself. But the truth is that as I'm realizing that my work is really it's like a marathon, or like a long race, where at the end, when it finds its home, that's when it really becomes what it was created to be. And that's the part that I can't do. And I find it so amazing and humbling, because I'm like, wow, Lord, look what you did, Jesus. You did this. It's not me. I'm just a vessel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just a vessel. Mm-hmm. It's your message, and you take charge of it once it, my hands are finished with what you did, and then you take it out, and then it works in people's lives. And I can't take credit for any of that. And I don't want to. It's better that way.
But you live with a pure heart of love. That's you. And so it's not surprising that this is the way things are ending up. I was blessed to be able to spend, I don't know, I think Christian and I were there for 4 hours. For one afternoon, because Monique was having a studio. She was part of a studio tour, and she had a studio opening. So you got to come into the studio. And I had some things in mind, because I stalk her on Instagram. I really do. For all the viewers out there, Monique, will you please provide them with your IG?
Oh, sure. It's Monique Sarkessian Art, and it's Sarkessian is Sarkessian. But you will probably find me if you put in Monique Sark something art. And that's my website too, Monique Sark.
And also at the bottom here, it has Monique's spelling of her proper name. So it'll be easier if you're watching this, you can easily find her. Plus, when we post this, we'll be tagging Monique and everywhere, because that's what we do. So then you'll be able to find Monique, because we want people to find our guests on the show, because they're amazing people, and we would like to share them with everybody. But I got to go to her studio and hang out, literally. My son and I hung out with her, and it was so much fun to watch the people and hear them talk. And then I'm over there selling paintings, and I'm not a salesperson. I'm like, oh, and then this. because it was so much fun to be able to just talk to people about what they were seeing and about the beauty that Monique had created for them. It was one of my best days that I've had this year so far, was to be in the studio with you. And then I came home with artwork, beautiful pieces that, of course, that I then put in then I had to hang up. So then I'm running, Christian and I are hanging everything up. I had to have everything hung up. I wanted to show everything to Monique that I had put up. I mean, there's stuff all over my house now that I feel so blessed in the ability to be able to own her artwork. And I can see it every day all over my house, and it's beautiful and magical.
That's the thing about artwork, is like, I make it, but it needs to go out. And then it goes and it blesses you every day. That's pretty awesome.
It is. It's an amazing thing. I mean, you bring joy to people's lives every day, and that's amazing. So at times when you feel like, oh, I don't know, this one piece isn't selling, and you're second guessing yourself because you mentioned it today on the podcast, but we've talked about it. It just wasn't ready to go yet. When the time is ready, it will happen. And this is a lesson I had to learn in my business. I used to push up against the grain all the time, up the boulder with the hill and all this, and I'm butting up against this. And finally, when I decided in 2019, I'm going to give it to God. That's it. I can't control this. DiArc, stop. I stopped. And ever since I did, I chose to do that with $20 in my bank account at the time, by the way. I was like, listen, I just have to let it be. I got to let it be. God will provide. And that's, what happened. But you have to believe. And even if you don't believe in God, at least believe in a higher being, whatever it is you believe in, because you need that spiritual guidance, in my opinion.
I think it helps. You have a lot more understanding and a lot more, there's a lot more dimensions to this life. Let's just put it that way. Mm-hmm. That's the very short version.
Absolutely. I think my business partner, Steven Adler, who you'll meet at the party next week, he always says,
it's almost party time.
I can't wait. I cannot wait. And everybody, I might keep talking to my teams, and I'm like, Monique is coming, because everybody knows Monique, because I want everybody to know Monique, because Monique is special to me in my life and my son's. And I want to make sure I share her and her beauty and her power, her superpower, with everybody in the world, whoever listens.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. So we should probably wrap it up, because I know I told us we're going to, and I ran over. But as we always do, I would like to thank you so genuinely from the bottom of my heart for coming, today and joining me on my podcast. Thank you. And I also, as I do in every show, say, just as a reminder, we are the same. I am Christina DiArcangelo. Thank you for listening, everybody, and have a great day.